Hey everyone, it's Chrissy from Everyday Survival Gear, and today I'll bring you the review of the Rofis G01. Yeah, turn off now. It's a small tactical 16340 based flashlight. It's meant to be weapons mounted, so it's a bit different to what I'm used to testing. I would love to throw it on a weapon, but in my yard and house I can't. So I'm going to try and send it off to someone else soon. And hopefully they can help me out and test it. And also I'm in my shed like 3 a.m. in the morning and there's a mad echo. So let's get the review started. Alright, so this is it, the Rofis G01. Yeah, as I was saying, weapons mounted flashlight. Using a XP G2 S3. So it's pretty much top of the bin for the S3s. Sorry, for the XP G2s, but they do now have an S4. But the S is top of the line. I just bought a bunch from Fast Tech for some mods. So yeah, also because we're outside, my desk is pretty dirty. Metal shavings from working on flashlights, and obviously all of my equipment and whatnot. So yeah, first off, we'll start with what it comes with. It comes in the standard Rofis style box. New emitter, but still same style box. So you can see XPG2 S3 LED. Up to 600 lumens, they say. We'll pull it out now. What else is there? No. Alright, so it's a 16340 base flashlight, but it can also run on CR123s. So here they give you a CR123. I don't like the reflection on that, but Panasonic CR123. I was checking out the specs of these. They're about 2000 milliamps or something, I think. Actually, that sounds way too high, right? But apparently that's what they are. I'm not sure how CR123s work. I'll have to research that. They give you spare O-ring. You get this screw here, hex style screw, so you can mount it to your weapon. It's a weapons flashlight, but it's basically made for handguns. I don't think you'd be able to mount this on a rifle like you would be able to mount it on a rifle, but I don't know if you're supposed to. You get an Allen key, as we call it here, or hex key, as you may call it overseas. The instructions, and you also get your standard Rofis warranty card. So as usual, we just run over the specs. It's a bit tight in here with the wood, so I might bang the camera. Alright, so it uses a Cree XPG2 S3, as I've said now like a million times. Maximum output of up to 600 lumens. I measured it at about 545 to 550. I'll leave a chart here so you can check it out. It actually does pretty well for a 16340 base flashlight. The 545 lumens still puts it up there ahead of most of the CR123 16340 lights. Not all of them, because there are exceptions like the Olight S1R and the other Rofis light. If you're looking for a more intense light from Rofis, they do have the TR10. That thing is a beast at 900 lumens. It posts a peak beam intensity of 4665 CD. Sorry, that was 4665 CD, and a throw distance of up to 136 meters. It is a pretty big reflector, not huge, but you can see it's a fairly decent size. And using a fairly small LED like the XPG2, it is going to naturally throw pretty far. I'll flip it over so you guys can check out this side. High efficiency circuit provides runtime up to 4.5 hours. We'll talk more about that later. Optimized ultra precise reflector offers a longer beam distance than competing products. Supports a one-time 16340 lithium ion battery or CR123. Waterproof in accordance to IPX6, which is anti-rainstorm. I know some of you watch my follow my blogs too, my written reviews. If you check out that, you'll see I put it in a bucket of water. It worked fine. It's only got one entrance at the back here, and that's got an O-ring seal, so I'm pretty sure it'll be sweet if you do dunk it in water. It seems to be built pretty well, so I don't think you should have a problem. But for some reason they only rated it IP6, But then I was thinking anyway, you're not really going to dunk your handgun in water and then try and shoot it, are you? So there's probably just easier just to get a rated IPX6. Toughened ultra clear mineral glass with anti-reflective coating. So AR coated glass as usual. You would be expecting it. Constructed from aerospace grade aluminium alloy. It's pretty standard there. Alright, so hard anodizing type 3. Military grade, reverse polarity protection, and impact resistant to 1.5 meters. The impact resistance is a pretty big feature on this light. 1.5 meters is fairly good, but you're also going to have recoil from the gun itself, which it has to put up with. I can't honestly say that I can test that. I did actually drop this a few times while testing it for my written review, so I know it can withstand a fall from about 1.5 to 1.7 meters. I actually done a drop test in that review too, so I've dropped it more than once and it's fine. There is no front spring on it. I think probably it would have been better to have a front spring, but that's completely up to Rofis and their design team. The light still works now, so it's all good. Alright guys, now we'll just go over the size. So the length is 74 mils, that's 2.91 inches. Width is 28.5 mils. 1.01 inches. Height is 41.4 mils. 1.63 inches. So height is 41 mils. 1.63 inches. Weight is 69 grams. So that's 2.43 ounces without the battery. Yeah, so they always measure it without the battery anyway. This is basically only a weapons flashlight. I wouldn't use it for an EDC. Obviously, it's way too big. The housing doesn't come out. You can't get it out of the housing, so obviously you don't really want to use it as an EDC. But when saying that, it's actually not too bad compared to other lights in size. Like, its overall length isn't too bad, so you can see it's not actually that much longer than the MK2 jet beam. Just only a tad longer. They might have done that on purpose actually, just to fit it in the housing. It's actually pretty small for a Rofis light, to be honest. Even if we compare it here to the MK1, we'll be able to see it is shorter than the MK1, but obviously with the body, it's a little bit fatter. It is heavier than a standard CR123 16340 flashlight, but it's no heavier than a standard S2 Plus anyway. So overall, like in that sense, it is pretty small and lightweight. Because I don't have any other weapons mounted flashlights to compare it to, that's all as I can say. I was checking out the prices of some other ones, and they're pretty pricey. Rofis didn't actually send me a price on this one, so I'm not sure about that. We will continue with the specs. Alright guys, now we'll just go over the modes and the output and whatnot, whatever specs are left. Basically 2 modes, on and strobe. So I'm not sure how most tactical flashlights are set up. Right now it's on, simply click again, that's strobe, push and hold to turn off. So basically it's got a momentary, so you can go like that, but that momentary only lasts 0.5 seconds. After that, the light will be fully activated. I'm not sure why they chose 0.5 seconds, but it's okay. It works. So I guess if you gotta like quickly flash someone, you know, like what you do on the weekends, you quickly flash someone. Alright, so we'll turn it on like so. That's the high mode there. Flick through, strobe once again, we can flick back around. That's your 2 modes. So we'll push and hold to turn off, and that's pretty much the UI. No lockout, no nothing at all. That's all they give you. Then again, like, you don't really need a lockout on a weapons mounted light, I guess, because you're not going to have it in your pocket anyway. Alright, so there's 2 different outputs using the CR123 and the 16340. For some reason, I think Rofis goofed up and they put the wrong output for the CR123. They rated it at 510 lumens, but it's actually meant to be 160. I emailed them to ask, but they have yet gotten back to me. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I can't really confirm it. But I measured it at 160, and after looking at other reviews, they also wrote down 160. So I'm basically guessing it's 160 lumens. So using the CR123, it's 160 lumens with the white light, so with the normal on mode, and with the strobe. Using the 16340, it'll give you 600 lumens rated by Rofis for the on mode and 600 lumens for the strobe. So it's a pretty basic driver. I guess it's only got on what you need. I think it would still be a boost driver because you would have to boost up the current a little bit from the CR123, but I'm not sure what they've done there. Runtime with the CR123. So this is basically where it gets a little bit different, so you know that it has to be a little bit lower output. With the CR123, you get 3.1 hours for the 160 lumens normal on. So, sorry, just on mode like normal on. You get 3.1 hours. And for strobe, you get 4.5 hours. Using the 16340, you get 0.8 hours. Which I measured the tower cap current at 1.5 amps. So, there's no way you're going to get 0.8 hours. But obviously, it's going to step down because the light gets warm but nowhere near hot. But as the battery drains, it's going to step down anyway. And with the strobe, so the 600 lumens, you get 1.2 hours of runtime. Yep, so my own testing rated at 545 lumens for the 16340 and CR123 160. I'll also put in, because it's an electronic switch, it's got a little bit of residual current when the light is off. That's only 42 milliamps, so that's pretty tiny. And also, as I just said, tower cap current is 1.5 amps. That was my own testing done there for all those. 42 milliamps is actually fairly good for an electronic switch. You can get a lot lower, obviously, but I've also seen lights that are a lot higher. Alright, so that's all the specs done. We'll just run over the light itself. That's the switch there. You can see it's got an on style switch button. That's the reflector, AR coated glass with my fingerprints on it. My dome is actually a little bit dirty. It doesn't really affect performance, but maybe they got a little bit of flux on it. When I told Rofis, they asked me, do you want me to send you a new light, because that's how good their warranty is. But I said no, because there's no point. It doesn't affect performance anyway. Sometimes it just happens. I've done it myself. We'll undo the towel cap. Non-anodized threads, so if you want to lock it out like this way, you really gotta it'll still run like that, so you gotta take off the whole back. There is a spring here. It looks to be coated with something. It doesn't even look to be copper, to be honest, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Usually they use pretty good springs. I'm running a Fandify cell in here. Don't laugh, these are actually really good cells. No spring at the front. You can see the driver board looks almost the same, but there is no spring there. So you can't use flat cells then, because there's no springs. You could always add your own if you wanted to. Use flat cells or just use magnets. That was a pretty important thing that I had to tell you, was written down in my notebook, but I didn't read it. The threads are cut really well. This thing, whatever it does, locks it to the light. It works really good. The screw, I know that it's a screw, a hexagonal screw, but yeah. The design overall is actually pretty nice. It looks cool, like this sort of jimping, whatever it would be called. I don't think it's jimping, but yeah. Overall, it's a really good looking light. It still is fairly small and compact. Obviously, you wouldn't EDC it for the purpose that it's a weapons light, but it could be EDC'd, I guess, if you really wanted to. Just yeah, it might look like a bit of a goof. That's pretty much everything, actually. So I brought out a bunch of other lights and even didn't turn them on, so I fell over on the way out here, almost. We will compare them to all of these and see how it does. Alright guys, so this is the Rofis G01 on its only mode. Obviously we cycle modes now. It's just going to go into a blinky mode. 15 meters to the back fence. So yeah, it does a really good job of lighting up my yard. You can see, we'll move back a tiny bit. Don't mind the shakiness. I've got to cut my lawn again. This is done the other week. It is fairly throwy. compared to a lot of other lights in this category. So like the beam is very directional. It does have a little bit of flood, you can see it there, but the flood isn't even that much. We'll try it to the tree at 100 meters. I know it gets there pretty easy. I'm not sure how well you guys can see that, but honestly with my own eyes I can see that really well. So it is a fairly throwy beam. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually goes further than 130 meters, to be honest, because it is super throwy. Funnily enough, the reflector isn't even that big in it. Like, it's big, but it's not as big as the XT1C, the Claris, but it still does throw pretty well. It must just be the XPG2 and the overall output pushing out 550 lumens thereabouts. It does a pretty good job. Alright, we'll switch to strobe mode. I never really show strobe mode because it's pretty pointless, but yeah, it's the only other mode I've got on right now. We'll go back to normal mode. I'll try and show you guys the tint. It is a little bit white, the tint. It's not the worst, but these XPG2s, once you do get a bin that's a little bit higher, not a bin, sorry, tint, it is a little bit white, but not too bad. Alright guys, so we're about 5-6 meters away from the lemon tree now. You can see I gave it a cut, half of it's missing. Basically, it's not really like making it too much. It's not really too white where it's reflecting off and you can't distinguish colors. I can still distinguish all those greens there. I know on the camera it's not going to look as good because it's probably exposing or something, but the tint isn't overall way too bad. Maybe if I show you on the ground there, you guys will be able to see that you can still distinguish colors pretty well. I don't think with a handgun you're going to be shooting out that far anyway. Do you really make shots at like 100 meters or 60-70 meters anyway? I think most of your combat will be a little bit closer up, but then don't hold me on that because I'm not an expert. We'll grab another light and we'll see how it compares to we'll grab the Jet Beam MK1 and see how it does. Oh no, actually we'll put in the CR123 and I'll show you the performance with that first. Alright guys, so you can see with the CR123, performance is down a little bit. It's not actually too bad, like the performance is down a bit, but it's still fairly bright. Like, in all honesty, it lights up my backyard pretty well still. From side to side, you can see it. So it's not the widest beam, but you can see fairly well. To the 15 meters to the fence, like, it does a really good job. And you know, the main market that this light is targeted at would be America, so you know, you guys can run to the shelves and buy CR123s. You can get them cheap online. I've seen them for under $1 each for good brand ones. So it's not actually too inconvenient to actually use a CR123, and performance isn't too bad with this. So if it is the 160 lumens, it does seem a little bit brighter now, but that's what I measured it as. That's still fairly reasonable performance. Like, that's more than enough light to what you need. You can see everything here. Even if you go further to the other end of the fence, 20 something meters away, you can still see it really well. So we'll go to 100 meters. I'm not even sure if it's going to make it, but we'll try. So it does make it, but I highly doubt that you guys will be able to see it, but I can see it lighting up the tree. Yeah, I don't think you guys will be able to because it's pretty faint. Not quite as harsh looking on the lemon tree now with the with not quite as much output, but yeah. So CR123 performance is actually pretty good. When I checked out other handgun weapons mounted lights, performance with the CR123 and the 16340 is kind of top rated for this Rofis G01. A lot of the other lights underperform compared to this light. There are a few that do perform mildly better, maybe 650 lumens, but they are $200 lights. So I'm guessing there's going to be a pretty huge price difference between the G01 and those very high performing lights. Personally, I don't think output should be #1 priority. You can still carry around another flashlight anyway, even if you got this on your weapon. Durability would be your #1 issue with a light like this. Yeah, I'll go grab the MK1 now, and we'll see how it does against the MK1. Alright guys, so to the right we got the JetBeam Jet MK2. This would be a pretty fair comparison. SMO reflector in both of these lights, and a Cree XPG2, so they're pretty fair comparisons because they're set up the same. The JetBeam does have a little bit smaller reflector, but basically the JetBeam's to the right, Rofis G01 to the left. So you can see no comparison there. The Rofis is a lot brighter. You can see it's on like a whole other level. It is only about 100 lumens brighter, but for some reason it does look a lot brighter, like heaps. Or is that just me? No, that's not just me. It does look a lot brighter. It's also a little bit throwier. I'll probably put that down to the reflector size. But yeah, besides that they use different batteries, they are pretty much the same style light. We'll move on to the MK2 now and see how the G01 does against that. Alright guys, now we've got the JetBeam Jet MK2 on to the right, and to the left we've got the Rofis G01. You can see the JetBeam is a little bit duller. Output performance should be pretty similar. They're around about the same, but for some reason the Rofis does shine a little bit harder. For all I know, like, my test could have been off because of the beam pattern, and it could be closer to 600 lumens than the 550 that I measured, or technically 545, but we'll just go with 550 to round it off. It could be a little bit closer. Maybe it's the SMO reflector. I'm not sure. The JetBeam does have a OP style reflector too, so that could be why. The beam is a little bit wider, but even though I've got my camera down low, you can see fairly much that the Rofis is that little bit brighter. Alright, we'll move on to the Colaris MI7 now and see how it does. Alright guys, now we've got the Colaris MI7 on to the right, and Rofis G01 to the left. Once again, the Rofis does honestly seem brighter. The Colaris should be a tad brighter, not by too much, maybe 100 lumens max, but for some reason the Rofis seems to outshine it. Maybe just because of the brighter hotspot and the beam isn't quite as wide. That's what I'd put it down to. Similar style setups in these lights actually. Both got SMO reflectors. I think the MI7 has SMO reflectors. It's been so long I've done the review on it that I can't even remember. Let me just double check that. Give me a sec. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, no, sorry, it's a OP reflector. Alright, so OP reflector. I got that one wrong. It's been a while since I've done the review on it. But yeah, output wise, on the camera it looks like the G01 has it. So, pretty interesting actually. It's cool and interesting. Alright guys, I know it looks a little bit dark and dingy in here. Apparently 1500 lumens isn't enough to light up this space, but it should be. Pretty much that sums up the Rofis G01. I've literally had it now for over a month. It took me 2 weeks to get the written review out, so I've had it now for like a month. Fiddling with it, I really like it. It's built well. It's Rofis quality. I've dropped it. I'll put it in water. I'll leave a link to the written review down below, and I'll leave a link to Rofis' website where you can also check out the light. I'm not sure of price, but I'm sure that they'll give it to us for a reasonable price. I'll try and find a deal for us all, and yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I should have another video out pretty soon, hopefully within a couple of days. This one took a little bit longer than expected because I went away for about 4 or 5 days, so it got a bit delayed. That's pretty much it, I guess. Great light, built well, quality. What else can I say? Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.